Folks, welcome to an all new episode of So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey. This is your pal Ryan, and this is your Thursday episode. I'm going to just keep throwing content at you, whether you like it or not. Hopefully, more like it than not. Hopefully, it's not just split 50-50 down the line. But we got a great show for you today. We have the one and only Jonathan Bennett. I mean, we fell in love with him in the film Mean Girls, and now this guy is the king of Hallmark. Just in a Hallmark trilogy of movies, and he has this reality show called Finding Mr. Christmas. Now, I think we need a little cheer in our lives right now, and I'm telling you, this Hallmark reality show, it's such a great idea because it's literally 10 dudes in like a wood cabin competing to be a lead on a Hallmark holiday film. It's really kind of ingenious, and they throw them through all of these competitions. They make them do cold readings, like they give them a scene, make them do like an audition, and Jonathan Bennett is the host of it. And also, like I said, he's like Mr. King Hallmark. This dude is an amazing actor and just over so many Hallmark films lately. And it really was so damn enjoyable to watch. It premiered this past Thursday, so you're going to be able to catch new episodes today, actually. I highly recommend it. It really is just a feel-good show because it makes you laugh. There are a couple moments where like these guys get into their stories where, you get a little emotional maybe, but it's just fun. And it reminds us that we are nearing the holidays, which I know is going to be scary this year for some people. I know, myself included, right? But we can still bring a lot of cheer. And that's what this show at its best is aimed to do. Now, let's talk about the big old elephant in the room. This is not a political show, but I'm happy to express my opinions, but I also want to say something and this is why I don't really talk. This isn't a political podcast because I would rather scream about Vicky Gunvalson and Shannon Bedore and all of these ladies and the Vanderpumpers and pop culture. But obviously, we just went through a really intense election, and we do this every 4 years. I mean, we kind of do it every 2 years, but the big one's every 4 years, right? And we are still processing a range of emotions. Now, 52% of this country, they're probably pretty happy today, right? And 48% of the country, we are going through a range of emotions. And I hope that we can try to understand everybody's side. I hope that 52% can understand why a lot of us are very upset. And I think just, for basic protections and things like that. Now, man, I'm an American. I hope these next 4 years go good. I'm praying for the best. And I hope you guys who voted for him, I hope you do watch him. And I mean that in the best possible way. Like politicians are politicians. So we always got to watch our politicians. And I want so much better for everybody in my life. I want to put out a message of positivity, but at the same time, what's up, dude? It's me, Tom Sandoval, spreading a message of positivity, dude. This is a pop culture podcast, but I do want to acknowledge that. And I've wrestled with my own feelings over this last day, right? A lot of us have talked to my therapist today, so I don't have to talk to you guys. But even my therapist, like I ended halfway through the session. I was like, I got to tap out at this point because really it wasn't about my feelings anymore, what was going on in my life, because I think sometimes the political process can make all of us feel so small, right? Something that's supposed to give you great power can sometimes make you feel powerless. And that is, we're in control of what we watch. We're in control of what we disassociate with, right? That's sometimes the greatest power we have is our hand on that remote. And so sometimes these things, it's obviously really intense. And I've read so many hateful things today. I've read so many positive things today. And, my safe space is talking to you guys. And I always want to try to be a positive voice. You guys have helped me through so many things in my life, from my mom passing away to there's so much you've done for me that you don't even know. And I hope to provide a little bit of that back to you in just the form of a goofy laugh, point you in a show that a direction of a show that you might want to watch, a song you might want to listen to. I mean, that to me is what I can try to do for you. But I would be remiss to say, like, yeah, this didn't go the way that I was hoping it would go. But we live on, we fight on, and I know it seems dark, I know it seems dire for a lot of us right now. But we have each other, and I keep being reminded that of those simple messages of that sometimes we need to be reminded of how good we are, of those tiny things that we can do in our lives for other people that will remind other people to do tiny things for other people, and just a wave of goodness. And it's not about blue and red and Republican and Democrat. It's about humanity and trying to give everybody a chance, give everybody an opportunity. And I really hope the best for these next 4 years and beyond. And my ideology doesn't line up with the ideological platform that is being pushed out there. But listen, this was a fair, a free and fair election. You're right. This is a free and fair election, and this is what's one of the amazing things about this country. And we want it to stay amazing. And I was so happy that that we agreed to a peaceful transfer of power already. I'm glad that there was not complaints about anything being rigged or any of that. I mean, it's good to see that a system works, even if that system doesn't go the way that you want it to go. But that's all I want to say about that for now. And if you want to talk to me separately, I've DM'd with a bunch of you guys, I think, last night. And that's it. But I also realized, man, we're here to talk about things that we truly love. Hopefully, one of those things is that we love each other. And then after that, it's these reality shows and TV and movies. And, you have to remind yourself, because I was telling my therapist, I was like, man, it is so hard to go on and talk about pop culture. Like, do do I really now care who the Golden Bachelorette chooses? How am I supposed to truly care? And I think you just got to find those moments to try to do whatever makes you happy right now. And for me, I had a full day of work, and then we started watching some boob tube, and we had a successful night of TV viewing, folks. We really did. I watched the new episode of Survivor. It was, Survivor. They did a food auction challenge. That made me smile, right? Okay, so we're doing good. And then I watched the new episode of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, and woo, Bronwyn's husband, the Todd father, this guy Todd, he was like, I want Lisa, and if Lisa and John don't shape up, I want them out of here. I have not signed up to argue for these next 3 days. And Seth Marks was there, and he's like, Meredith, I've got to go to Big Lots in Columbus, Ohio. I got to leave a day early. I'm sorry, babe. I'm working to provide caviar and food on the table for you, babe. And Meredith was upset about that. It was another really good, weird episode, which I can't wait to recap for you guys. And tonight we have the Real Housewives of Orange County finale, part 1. So that Salt Lake episode, that kind of hit a nice little spot. And then I got Rebecca to watch this. I'm a big Batman fan, right? I'm a big Batman fan. And yeah. Yeah, I like it all, folks. Reality shows, Batman. It is shocking that I'm truly not into sports, but I love Batman. Really, what an athlete that Batman is. I got her to watch the first 2 episodes of HBO Max's The Penguin with Colin Farrell. If you're not watching this, if you are into kind of mafioso, and I don't mean like mob wives like Angie K from Salt Lake does it, but if you're into like mafia, good acting, good directing, really chilling, really violent, I highly recommend The Penguin. I'm just into the first 2 episodes. I think they have about 8 or 9 episodes out, and the season finale is this week. And I've read great things, but for some reason I was kind of saving it to just binge all at once. And now, I mean, now's the time. Now I'm like, let's binge away. But it's one of those things with in any relationship, right? Where you're pushing your partner, like, hey, you want to watch a little Penguin? And it's a tough sell at first, but then she actually liked the Penguin as well. So I'm like, oh, sweet. Because if not, then you have to watch it by yourself. And usually when I'm by myself, I'm trying to get through all of these reality shows. So that's a victory. It's the small victories. That's where you got to find the joy right now, is those small wins, folks. And we ordered some Italian food, and we pigged out, got a stomach ache. It's like that joke is the meal is over when I hate myself. That's how much I ate tonight. It's got to the point where I'm like, oh God, I hate myself. I'm so full. I'm so full. So did that. And now I'm talking to you guys. So we're ending the day pretty good, right? And we just take it day by day. And I know I'm oversimplifying a lot of things right now, and I hope that's not offensive to anybody, because I realize how much feeling is out there right now. I'm trying to put the best face on that I can, and trying to be waka waka, Fozzie Bear silly. I was on Jeff Lewis this morning, and I was on with Justin Martindale, and Vicky Gunvalson and Doug Buden were on the first hour. And you get there early and you have coffee beforehand. And I was really nervous going in because I just didn't feel good. It's such an intense thing on both sides, I imagine, but it's so intense. And then I got there, and it was kind of nice because it's not a political show. And it was just nice to laugh about stupid shit. It was nice to laugh about stupid shit. Vicky Gunvalson is such a character. I mean, you see these housewives. I say this all the time. When you meet these housewives, guys, and you've met them before, some of you guys, or you'll meet them at like BravoCon or Bravo Fan Fest, and you just walk away going, how are you real? How are you a real person? I almost sounded like Ramona right there. How are you real? How are you like these people? It's just wild. You think they're putting on an act for the camera. Guys, I can't assure you enough. They are truly like this. Vicky was walking down the hallway with a cup of coffee. I was walking behind her, and she's just spilling the coffee like the whole way through, not even realizing she's dribbling the coffee I'm just watching her spill coffee, 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 coffee. It was just like a trail of Vicky Gunvalson coffee. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, should I save this for my reality show museum? Like put this in some sort of Ziploc baggie of Vicky Gunvalson spilled coffee? And then she was talking about her Kodo insurance, and she was talking about business and all. So that was kind of nice. And in the second hour, when I got to do it with Justin, it was we just aimed to be so silly. So we were talking about cross streaming, going to the bathroom together today. And Justin Martindale, the amazing comedian, he had she had such a strong flow. I don't know women. Listen, I don't know anything about the female body. Do you ever I don't want to be gross, but let me just do it just for the sake of being gross. Sometimes when guys pee, you can just pee and you'll pee with a fury. It'll be like, that's not the sound, but you know what I'm saying? Like it's a strong flow. And then sometimes you dribble. And I don't mean like dribble down your pants, even though that's a thing too, but you'll have a weak flow. You're like the pee's trying to come out, right? But this Justin Martindale peeing peeing without abandon. This guy, it felt like it was going 60 miles just by the sound. I was like, dude, heavy flow today. So we got a joke about stupid shit like that. And it reminded me, it's really good to sometimes just laugh really hard and be really stupid. The other thing I would just hope people can do is reach out to the people that make you laugh, or just reach out to all of your friends. Reach out to all of your friends, check in on them, and see how they're doing. Send them a funny meme. Send them a picture of your butt. Send them a picture of my butt. Send them funny housewives memes. I know that is not, it's not going to solve anything, and it's not going to take anybody's fear away. But sometimes just those little things, those little laughs that can potentially build into big laughs. Anyways, that's how I'm trying to cope. Let me know how you're trying to cope. I hope you're all just doing great out there. I know, I always ask you guys how you're doing, and I really imagine you guys out there, and I understand the sadness and the anger. And on the other side, I understand that there's a lot of people that are very, very happy and thrilled. And I hope we can unify. And like I always say, realize that we have more in common than we do have with differences. And I know sometimes it doesn't feel that way. I really do. But today we are all one together. We're going to listen to Jonathan Bennett. You know what? Let's do a couple of news stories. Let's do a couple of news stories. In fact, I talked to Rebecca before I came on, and I was like, "Hey, are there any silly stories about me?" Like, I was trying to think of silly stories about me to tell you guys to make myself look like an idiot and make you potentially laugh. And she vetoed all the stories. I had a really good story, but it involved a piece of my anatomy, and she was like, "No, you absolutely cannot say that on the podcast." I want to. I don't know if I just do it on Patreon behind a paywall. I don't want to not tell. Anyway, she said I couldn't say it, and so I was like literally trying to think of stupid. You know what? Let me tell you a story real quick. Can I tell you a story? Do you have time? If you want to skip ahead to Jonathan, remember there's a timestamp. So I was there. I've told this story before, but let's just tell it again. And this was in, I think, college when I was at ASU. It- you know what? It might have been high school when I was at Horizon before college because it was, 30 or 40 minutes away. But I remember we got tickets to go see Phantom of the Opera, the hit Andrew Lloyd Webber musical, at Gamage Auditorium, which is like the theater by ASU. So like the big Broadway play went to Gamage Auditorium, and me, my mom and dad, we had our tickets. And then my girlfriend at the time, her dad and her mom and her had tickets. And we were going to meet in front of the theater, right? We were going to meet in front of the theater. And I think it was a little nerve wracking because I don't think my parents and her parents had really hung out that much. And always, I just have a low level of nervousness throughout my entire life. It will never, ever leave me. And I guess I should just accept it and call it my friend. But sometimes it makes things very hard. But I was in like a nice outfit, dress pants, white button up shirt, a little tie, what was the stuff? A Structure. Remember that store, Structure for Men? I think it turned into Express for Men, but I had like a nice little Structure for Men tie that I was really proud of. And I had these really shiny patent leather black shoes that I think my grandma had gotten for me. I didn't really wear ever, but man, they were slick on the bottom, you guys, slick, like an oil slick on the bottom of these shoes. So I was just nervous anyways with the whole parent thing and like, but at the same time, as a theater geek, excited to see, be swept away in the wonderful world of the Phantom of the Opera, right? So we get there. The sun is setting, I remember. And her parents, I was like, oh, her parents were like at the like a I don't know how I don't know yardage or whatever, but they were like a little bit down there. I could see my parents, and I said, you know what? Let me run ahead, parents, and I will. I'm gonna catch up with them because they have the tickets. It was something I was like, Mom and Dad, I'll meet you at the front. I'm gonna run up to them right now, and it was a great distance away, and I started running, and if you guys know me, I'm not quick on my feet, right? I'm not a fast guy, nor am I aiming to be a fast guy. I clawed along. I'm just blah, 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 blah. So I am running, you guys. And for whatever reason, I think it was these shoes. I was running the fastest I'd ever run in my life. Felt so easy. Felt good. I was like, is this what like the real runners that can run, is this what it feels like? I was like hearing music in my head. It's like, da, da, na, 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 na. And I'm just like pumping my arms back and forth. And then in my head, I just kept thinking, oh my God, her family is watching me run. And I legitimately had the thought of, my God, they must be impressed. Holy mo! They must be so impressed that their daughter, not only a talented theater actor, this guy, fast runner. He's look at this guy. And the shoes, when you have those slick shoes on, it was totally helping. And I was like, God, I need to take these to the track if I ever run again. And then I'm running. And like I said, the sun was going down and I was smiling at her family, kind of with that look of like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm running fast. And yeah, you are. Hey, you are seeing this. This is to be believed. And out of nowhere, you guys, I got launched off of my feet and I got thrown 8 feet back, like fully off my feet. Like all of a sudden, Something out of nowhere throws me back 8 feet and I land on the ground. And I'm on the ground in a daze. I notice her family's running up. My now family is running from behind up to me because everybody saw this. Other people walking into this gamage, they were like, "What the hell's going on with this kid?" And my thought was, "Oh, this is why, guys, this is why I should have done therapy much earlier and never stopped in between therapists." My first true thought was, "Oh my God, the hand of God knocked me down because I was being too cocky." Because I was literally in my head thinking, "My God, I'm a fast runner. Who knew? Like, wow, look at me. Look at me go. Everybody's impressed." So I thought, I was like, I legitimately, and I'm not a big paranormal guy, but I was like, this is, who can explain this? And her dad walks up, and I can tell her dad is trying not to laugh. And I was like, "Well, that's rude. Like, what?" And he's like, how you doing, man?" And I'm like, I'm fine. I'm fine." And I still am not understanding what's going on. And then finally, it's pointed out to me. Do you know those like big orange pylons like they'll have in certain parking areas? But they're pylons and it's like in cement in the ground. And then they'll have like a chain link that connects the two pylons to tell people, like, "Hey, you can't park here, bud." You know what I'm talking about? You see them in every parking area ever. Well, I guess in like me like sucking my own dick thinking that I was the fastest runner in the world and just complimenting myself in my head, I guess I was running so fast and the sun was setting it apart where I just did not notice this chain link at all. And I ran full force directly into it and it hit right at the midsection, right below, like my right between my belly and my penis, right? Like it hit right there. And I ran. This is how fast I ran, folks, that it knocked me back. And this thing, I guess, was taut before. And now I looked up and it was like the two pylons were leaning in and now the chain was loose. I hit it so hard that the chain loosened. So, yeah, that happened. And then I dusted myself. I was kind of in pain. I dusted myself off. And you guys, I went to the bathroom. I was like, "Oh, yeah." How do you laugh something like that off? You're like, "Oh, yeah." Well, turns out I'm an idiot. Oh, my God. I go into the bathroom and I look down at my skin, and there is a perfect imprint of chain interlocking chain on my skin. Like chain, and this is before a cell phone. I wish I had it. Like, I wish I could have taken a picture for you guys because how amazing would that be for you to see my pubis region? But yeah, that's a little story of just me being an idiot, and hopefully you can potentially get a laugh out of that. I got stories like that. You know what? Let me tell you another one. I've told this a couple of times here too, but for any new listeners, this is another good one. Okay, so back in the day, I know I used to be so nervous to go on any sort of date, Like really, like, I could be like, "Oh yeah, let's go on a date," but then it would be like, "Oh no, now I have to go on the date." I'd be all worried about it. I'd be all like, "Oh," and I'd psych myself out it was just a mess. And I remember there was this girl that I randomly met in San Francisco and we exchanged numbers, but it wasn't any, I don't, it was just a weird thing, but she was coming down. She was like in advertising, I remember. And she was like, "You know what? Yeah, let's go to dinner when I'm in town for business." And I was like, first off, in town for business, I'm in my 20s. I'm like, that sounds pretty cool. But then, in that interim, I got all nervous about it. And I was like, oh man. And we made a plan to go to this place, Sushi Roku. There was like this sushi place right by the Beverly Center. If you live in Los Angeles, you know where the Beverly Center is. It was like kind of like a hip happening spot, right? So he was like, "I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there." And I didn't have to pick her up, and that was good because I had the shittiest Chevy Corsica known to man. It was a white Chevy Corsica, and by this time, my trunk wouldn't even lock, so it was tied down with two bungee cords in the back. But the thing was just a mess. It was just on its last legs for a very long time. So I remember I got into this outfit. I had like a cool leather jacket on. I always wear a jacket anywhere I go. It's like armor. I'm always weird about my body, so I always try to like, throw as many layers possible, which is then hard because I'm a natural sweater as well. Never good, right? Um, so I'm wearing this thing, trying to like pump myself up, and I'm listening to one of my favorite albums of all time, "Recovering the Satellites" by Counting Crows, right? Huge Counting Crows fan. Shout out Counting Crows. Woo! Um, so I'm listening to this album, but I'm in my head, you guys. I'm in my head. It's all negative self-talk. It's gonna suck. It's gonna suck. It's gonna suck. Oh my god. Oh my god. And I'm just blaring Counting Crows. And I park in this parking garage. I don't know. I want to say like third or fourth level, right? Um, and I'm there. I'm like, you got this, man. You can do this. You can do this. You can do this. And I'm like, okay, I get out of the car, go into the date, and meet her there. And it starts the date, like, like the date started, and we have a drink, and then we have some food, and we're laughing. We're having a good time. I'm like, okay, I think things are going okay. And then you guys, after the eating the food part of the night, she's like, hey, do you want to go to a second location? Do you want to have a nightcap? Do you want to have a drink? And so I was like, that sounds well, thank you. Thank you very much. That sounds nice. I was like, oh, hell yeah. And then she was like, well, can we just take your car? And I was like, okay. I have a shitty Chevy Corsica. But at that point, I had told her I had a shitty Chevy Corsica. So I was like, listen, this is, and she was like, oh, fine, fine, fine. And as we're walking, I think we were walking up the steps of the parking garage. And all of a sudden, like, I'm hearing music, and I'm like, "Oh, that sounds so familiar." And then I realize it's Counting Crows. I realize it is Counting Crows, my favorite band of all time at that moment, and still, one of my favorite bands in my heart. But I'm just and my thought, Pat, my thought was, "Oh my god, somebody else is listening to Counting Crows. That's awesome." Because there's strength in numbers. I was like, good for them, man. Yeah, listen to Counting Crows. Hell yeah. And I go, Counting Crows, huh? Great. But it's also now as we're getting closer up, there's like smoke everywhere. Like there's just, it's like smoky. And I'm like, wow, that's weird, smoky. And then I realize, wait, this is the floor, this is the level of my car. And then I realize my car is smoldering, and the Counting Crows music is coming from my car. And what it happened was, I guess I was so damn nervous that I just hopped out of my car and I left my car on. I left my engine running. And I had, back in the day, folks, we had like a CD player, and you would have this CD player, and you could pop the front of it off, and I would never pop the front of it off because I'm like, I have a shitty car. Nobody's going to steal this. And I left it on. There was like a repeat button, and I guess Recovering the Satellites had been playing for the last 2 hours, and my car was literally smoldering. I also locked the keys in the car. And so we had to get these people to put it out. I mean, it wasn't like an inferno or anything, but it was like, oh, this is toast. And then I had to get my roommate. Well, even my roommate was at work, so I had to get my neighbor Jocelyn, who I'm still friends with, to come and give me my extra set of keys. And then it's just like game over. You're like, we had a good date, but how, this lady's like, had a good date, but Jesus, this guy literally was so nervous. He locked the keys in the car and left the car running on top of playing Counting Crows, blaring at an ungodly level. We didn't really see much of each other after that. We didn't see each other after that. But it's just so funny how the human mind works, or how my human mind works, is that I just sometimes don't recognize the obvious. And I spend so much time getting nervous about the stupidest things that can possibly be imaginable. I can be positive with you guys, or try to say, hey, we can get through the next day. We can get through the next year. We can do it. We can do it together. And then sometimes I just fucking leave my keys in the car, and I leave a car running until it burns. And those are the two beasts within me. Is that what are the stupidest things you guys, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, in the comments, please leave me some of your worst date stories. Please leave me with some of your stupidest things that you've ever done. I've done so many stupid things, folks. You've heard so many of my dumb stories. I mean, when I was 13 and I jumped off a slide into a pool, but I slipped and I hit the left side of my body on the concrete and passed out in the pool. Went into shock, was in intensive care for 2 weeks just because I was being a goof and I didn't like. I don't even know why I was jumping off the top of a slide. Anyways, I once drove my dad's car. I took a wrong turn in Arizona and ended up driving through like a desert, like through a desert, thinking I was eventually going to hit a street. And I put so much damage on his car. Like I remember I saw Usual Suspects at Camel View Theater by ASU. And I don't know how I took a wrong turn somewhere. And sometimes in Arizona, if you take a wrong turn, you just hit desert, man. And then you're like, there's got to be a street around here somewhere. And then you're like, I'll speed up. And then you're bumping and you're hitting rocks and you're like scratching things on the side. Oh my God, he was so mad at me. So mad at me. My life has been littered with dumb mistakes. But one of the things that's not a mistake is being here talking to you guys. So that is our opener. I hope we had some fun. I hope we had some laughs. I hope you stay strong out there and listen. We're going to get super goofy. I'm going to find a way to do it. We're going to fucking recap the hell out of that Salt Lake City episode and that OC reunion part 1. We're going to recap the hell out of that too. That is my promise to you. And baddies, my Patreon group. What up, baddies? What up, baddie gang? I did an hour and a half mashup mix over there that I put out on election day. And this thing is bop after bop. If you want to go sign up over there, patreon.com/so bad it's good. On top of a 2.5 hour Q&A we did on Sunday, on top of a 2-hour Vanderpump Rules season 2 episode 1 recap we put out last week as well. And I'm going to put out episode 2 this week. So there's a lot of stuff. If you want to laugh with me, if you want to disassociate with me, if you want to get weird with me, keep listening. Thank you. And thank you for giving me some energy right now because I have been a little bit dreading coming up to this mic tonight. But man, talking to you guys made me feel better. And I hope I can return some of that favor. Okay, without further ado, the man, the myth, the legend, actor Jonathan Bennett.